Everyone looks really good on their own until they're next to somebody else who has a comparable physique. And then that's when those games, illusion game, is extremely important. What is up? It's your boy John Shreve, IFBB Pro, Mr. Tell Like It Is. We're here in my home gym / my posing room because today, guys, we're gonna look over Sam Sulek's physique, where it's at right now, how good he actually is, some things that he can do with his posing to make his physique look that much better, and my predictions on how he'll do in his next 2 shows. So if you're getting into bodybuilding or you are already a bodybuilder and you need some help with your posing, this is a video for you. Let's get into it. So guys, when it comes down to it, maybe you're asking, Johnny, how do you have any type of say when it comes to posing? In 2017, when I won Mr. Canada, I was also the best poser as well too. I'm a posing coach, and I've coached a lot of people. When it comes down to it, I've coached Greg Doucette, I've coached Chris Bumstead in posing, I've coached Dana Baker, I've coached a bunch of athletes. So when it comes down to it, guys, this is my thing. I love posing. It's one of my favorite things to do. I create routines. My routine is actually really good when I did Master Olympia. Plus, not only am I a coach, but I'm a qualified judge. So when I look at physiques, or I'm judging physiques, especially when it comes to Sam Sulek's posing, I'm judging it from the eyes of a judge, a coach, and an athlete. And again, all the tips I'm going to give you are those that you should be paying attention to. So if you are yourself competing, these things are going to help you with your posing. Again, we're always judging from the ground up because that's where the judge's eyes are going to be. The judges are sitting down, you're on a stage, and they're looking from the ground up, floor to core. So first video I found here was his winter Shredathon, and this is 8 days ago. When it comes down to it, guys, he's doing this show. He has to qualify to do the Arnold Classic. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, guys, his physique's great. What I like about how he's approached his first show is he's been able to just like really get himself in a great position in terms of giving him time to put on muscle, and he's went down and he's shredded down a bit to kind of give himself get himself lean. He's been doing the up and down type thing. When it comes to bodybuilding, is the best thing to do for you? No, it's not. You don't need to bulk. But when it comes down to it, when you're someone who goes from, say, 15% body fat to like maybe 8% body fat, and then he builds back up to 15% body fat, that's not necessarily bulking. That's kind of like main gaining. Regardless, he's been able to work on his physique. He's been able to, milk a lot of the help that he's had with different pros and influencers, etc., before he actually goes on stage. So he's well prepared to go on stage. Now, when I'm judging his physique, do I think he can go on there and sweep? I can't say that. If I was his coach, I would say you're in a great position to potentially win. I'll never say you're going to win, because there's always that one dude that shows up that you're like, where did that guy come from? Because as good as Sam Sulek is, he has some muscle groups that still need work. Now, coming from a past IFBB Pro in the open class, I already know right now that he's going to need to put on a little bit more size, especially in his legs, a little bit in his chest and whatnot. But again, guys, we're talking about pros, and he has the potential to become a pro. When I look at his physique, I look at how good is he going to do as a pro. And when judges judge physique, especially amateurs, they say, how much potential does he have as a pro? So if he has all that he needs to have in terms of judging criteria, and we give him this first place, is he going to do good as a professional bodybuilder? All right, so right away, so the thing about with Sam is he's a past athlete. So he has this really good amount of muscle that's almost even all over. Now you can tell he's pretty long. Like he's long. You can tell he's a taller bodybuilder, which means he'll need to put on more size. So we have a little bit of lighting. You can see he's kind of, this is 8 days ago. We can't see how lean he is, but he looks fairly near. Like I said, when I'm looking at his physique and I can see, cross striations, great definition in terrible lighting, that just means he's in very good shape. So a couple things you want to do. When you're posing, you don't want to hold your breath, right? You want to be able to control your breath, because again, when you think about like holding your breath, you think about breathing. The more you breathing, more naturally and controlled, the better your heart rate's going to pump and the more blood's going to keep flowing through. If you're just squeezing, you're going to run out of energy fairly quickly. Let's just see how he does this. So, okay, so his physique looks good. Now, let's see. Now, he's not really showing us much from the inside there. He's pulling him up. Ready? We're done? Come on, man. Okay, so now when it comes down to it, guys, when I watch people pose, I say this. When you pose, you need to always pose like you're going to be posing on the stage. There's no point of practicing like you're not going to perform. You practice like you play like you practice. This is great. Great lighting here. Is that Dragon's Lair? Absolutely. Let's see. Shirts off. Okay, so right away, guys, he looks great. Right away, this is 3 days ago. The rest he has to do is literally just, dry out, to be honest. Now, I look at his physique just right here. When it comes down to genetics, that's what you got. Now, his physique is great. Great waist, flat stomach right now. He's not even doing anything. When it comes down to it is a little more to fill up in his chest right here. He's not as full in his chest here. Now, when I say full, it doesn't mean like he might be depleted right now. I'm talking just like muscle development itself. You can tell that he has a lot of chest here, but not really upper pec. Now, let's see how he poses it. Remember, when it comes to posing is about hiding your weaknesses and showing your strengths. It's creating an illusion. Very good pose for him. And what he can do a little bit more, and I'm gonna be picky with this, right? There you go with the rest of it. I'm gonna be a tiny bit picky. Now, this is a great pose for him right away. There's not much more he can do literally about this, I feel. He can maybe pull his arms in slightly a bit and show his lats a little bit more. And I show you what I mean by that. And we're gonna do this in a second. So right now he's doing his side tricep, side chest. Okay, yes, we can see he's, again, when you pose, you want to make yourself look better and bigger than what you are. And he does what most bodybuilders do, especially amateurs, is they make themselves a lot smaller than actually bigger. Either way, when he's moving around, the guy looks great. He's conditioned all around. I can see him just doing a very easy job of, I don't know, like I said, I don't know who's going to show up at the qualifier, but there's not many guys, first-time guys at a qualifier that look like Sam. If there is, that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? And here's the thing too, when I see guys do this when they pose, look, I'm gonna be critical. When I see guys like this and they go and they start posing and they're breathing heavy, then they're like, ooh, I know we just finished training. But when it comes down to it, guys, when I was posing every single day for at least 10, 15 minutes. That's just right in the morning. When I would pose all the time. So when I was on stage, I was not tired. So when it came to holding poses, and I would hold poses for 10, 20, 30 seconds, you want to be able to hold those poses. When I look at him doing this and then be like, oof, already, it's like, hey, you need to be able to be conditioned. You can pose for YouTube all you want, but if you get in front of like a judge like Steve Weinberger or Sandy, whatever, and they're like making you hold your pose, put you through the ringer, you have to be able to have the stamina. So that means you have to practice almost longer posing than you would be on stage. Just like any fighter, MMA, boxers will train longer per round than their actual rounds when they're competing, because it just gets them more conditioned. I like his back double bicep. I like how he's pulling his lats out. Really good here. I'd like to see him roll his shoulders back a little more, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. And his lat spread here. I'm not a huge fan of his lat spread, and I'll show you why. The way he's posing his lat spread is he's hiding his lats, number one. Two, he's making his chest look smaller. Now, when I was competing, guys, when I got feedback, the judges were like, I need you to work on your upper chest to be fuller here a little bit more. So when you do poses like most muscular, front double bicep, lat spread, side chest, you want that up that shelf look. You want to be in this position here. If you look at the way he's posing, he's almost like sinking in like this. He's caving his chest in and not making it look big. I always make this point to a lot of people when they're posing. If your twin is sitting next to you on stage, if your twin's next to you on stage, the exact same carbon copy of you is on stage with you, and one of you guys is doing this, another one is doing this, who's gonna look bigger, right? It's the illusion. And you can literally lose shows based on how well or how not well you create the illusion. If you pose smaller than someone who's smaller next to you, and that person that's smaller poses bigger, looks bigger next to you, in the same conditioning and has great, overall structure, that guy can take pose for pose. His most muscular is great. Right? Seems quite tired. His side tricep. Again, he needs to work on opening up a little more. You can see from his side tricep that he's a little flat. Now, again, Obviously, he's probably flat, but I can always tell when it comes to structure, even in a flat physique, because you look at it, his shoulders, if he's flat, definitely aren't flat, right? When you look at it, he's got great 3D delts. His upper chest kind of falls off a little bit. I'm already in my trunks. I'm gonna get up here, I'm gonna show you a couple things and we'll go over a couple more poses. For those of you guys who are getting into posing and getting into bodybuilding, it's always about posing from the ground up. So from here and then all the way up. The biggest challenges for most people is to flex fairly easily while making sure that we can get all of these lines out. Now, a couple of things I like to say for guys is, you know, if you have nice thick legs anyway, make sure we close off a bit so we don't have this big gap in between our legs. Now, when it comes to your feet, something close to this, shoulder width apart, right? We don't want to be too close like this. It all depends on your structure. Guys who have not much abductors, I'm gonna get them to stand a little closer to create that illusion. Guys who have massive legs, they can open up a little bit more because there's enough muscle there to fill the gap. We don't want this gap here, basically. On my feet about 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. My crotch is 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock. A slight tiny, we're just slightly bending the knees. We're not doing this. It's just a slight soften of the knees. Now from the side, from our core, from our hip, to get these lines out, all we have to do is my hip, we're gonna dump the bucket out, right? All we do is this. All I do is push my hips back slightly like this while flexing my legs, and these lines will come out. Now, when it comes to making sure that our leg or quads look good, we want to pretend that we're ripping a piece of paper open with our feet. If we have paper on the ground, we're trying to rip the paper open so our knees are aligned with our toes. We're externally rotating, right? While flexing and getting the hips back. And then this is created. Now, we're only doing this externally rotating until our knees are aligned with our toes. You're going to have a little bit of weight or pressure on the outside of your feet, but my toes and everything are still touching the floor. I'm not doing this, right? So from here, right, tiny bit of a rip the paper, externally rotate while flexing my legs, tiny bit of a bend in the knees, and hips are back, and I created this look. His front lat spread, he's doing this, and then he's really pulling in like this, right? And that's a big problem we have when people pose. The judges are down here. We don't want to do a pose and end up back like this because it takes away from the illusion from the judge. Now think about this. When I'm taking a picture and you want to out-angle somebody, what do? Do you get closer? You go closer or do you go farther away? You get closer. So if I'm doing a pose and I finish like this, I've gotten smaller. What I want to do is all my poses are almost going to be like I'm on top of the person like this. Now I've got my pose all the way, but like I said, I'll give you an example from the side. If the judges are down here, the angle for me posing is going to be like this, not like this. So it's a little bit of an illusion I'm creating by just doing this, right? So if I'm doing my front relax, I'm like this, not like this. Because if I'm like this, guess what? The lighting, the angle makes me look smaller. So his front relax, we haven't seen him do a front relax yet, but he knows that affects his lats. Now he does this. He's here, and I always thought this is a good thing to do. You know, show the judges a little more, right, and getting up. And then he does this where he puts his hands like this, and then he kind of rolls like this and then sits back. Now, again, if you see me, my chest isn't as big as it was back in the day, right? But again, it's going to make it even look smaller by doing this and sitting up like this, right? My chest is caved in and I'm here. What I want to do is make sure that we're going to collapse our thumbs, make a little thumbs up, but our thumb's going to sit like this, not like this, right? Most guys do this and all of a sudden it starts to slip and we have, you know, our fists looking at each other from the front and then we get smaller. We want to make sure that when we're flexing our lats, especially in our front lat spread, is that our elbows continue staying lateral. We don't want them to start closing off because the more they start doing this, the less width you're getting. You want to be wide. So you want to make sure that when you're doing your lat spread, if I'm here, that I'm up, everything stays to this side. We don't want it to start doing this because it gets smaller and smaller. So here's what we want Sam to do more of. I just see Sam from here, right? I like this whole thing here. I like him to get his hands down a little more and not so high up because here he covers his lats. I want to get more so like almost right here. We're just rolling the fists. We're not doing much work, guys. We're just taking our hand here and we're just rolling our fist so it's flush on our side. Our top of our fist can be facing our armpit. We're using that as an anchor, right, to keep our waist in. And then we're gonna pull our chest up and open up, right? I wanna be here. So everything opens up here across. I don't wanna close myself off this way. So a guy like him who has great lines, we want those lines to look like this and be opening up, not to be almost like closing off like this. So from here, he's opening up and he's getting his lats right open like this. Oop. And then here. That's what we want. Now his front double bicep is great. I like his vacuum, but he doesn't need to vacuum, right? People think that you need to vacuum. The trick is keep your feet the same way. We don't have to do anything fancy. We can do a little bit of the classic lean, but the way he's doing it, his front double bicep doesn't have to be a vacuum. Still think it's good. Do the vacuum. But if they're holding for long poses, he's gonna have a little bit of this, and then he's gonna have to, right? Because unless he's gonna hold his breath for 10 plus seconds, he's gonna wanna just do a regular front lat spread with regular core activation. My core is like this. I'm just taking my belly button, right? Here's my unflexed. Now I'm gonna take my belly button. I'm gonna push it to my spine. Just pulling down here, right? Now from here, if I expand my body or if I just lift my body up, you can see how it stays flat. This isn't a vacuum. A vacuum would be here. That's a vacuum. You don't have to do that, right? You can just pull your waist in. What happens is when we pull our waist in, right from here, right? You can see the shape of my body right now, right? Just me doing this. I'm gonna pull my waist in. Now I'm gonna lift my entire body up. Remember that cue I give you guys all the time? We're doing lats, pull-ups or chest, whatever. I'm like, raise your chest to the ceiling. Watch this. From here, I'm pulling my waist in and I'm pulling my body up. See how much narrower I get from just being like this? Plus, I'm not doing a vacuum. I can still breathe and I can hold this. Now, if I'm doing a front double bicep, then it's here, then it's just opening up, right? Now, I can sit here all day and still breathe and talk, and I'm not gonna get out of breath by holding my breath doing a vacuum. That's the only slight thing that sucks with doing a vacuum, that if you're holding it for a while and you're not conditioned enough to hold it long enough, you're gonna deflate. Blech. I like his front lat spread. I think he can just get away with not doing a vacuum. He can just pull his core in from here and just breathe that air in, like suck all the air just like he did with his vacuum. But the trick is to suck the air in from here, pull it into your sternum, and then almost like feel this pocket of air and breathe it in between here. I'll show you what that looks like. So from here, then I breathe the air out. I'll exaggerate my breath too. So I'm here, and then I'm see, and I'm breathing this entire time. I'm breathing really shallow breaths at the top of my sternum without my diaphragm going like this. Right now, what I like with this pose, being here, he can be, instead of being here, he can come up a little bit higher and I'll make his lats look a little bigger. It's a little different from the back. From the back, we want to kind of push down on a little bit because you'll see what I mean by depressing his shoulders a little bit more from the back. His side chest and side tricep, his legs, he's doing a pretty good job of what I see of how he's setting his legs up. For those guys who probably didn't see what he's doing from his feet, what we want to do is, and I always like to show you guys from the front and from the side. From the side, if we're doing our side chest, it looks like this. We want to basically take this foot here, be completely plantar flex a lot, because again, judges are looking from the ground up. They want to see what it looks like. If we're down like this and we don't have good calves, or you have good calves, you've done yourself no justice by having your foot like this. You want to show your calves right away. The judges are going to look from the ground up. They're going to see feet, calves, quads, hamstrings, core, and the rest, right? So we want to take this foot here, put almost like on the instep or the arch of the other foot, like this, put up like here so we have our calf on right away. You can see by me just doing this, how much is coming out from my legs, a line's coming out from my legs from here. Now, for me to get this hamstring to drop, I don't want to flex it, because if I flex, you can see how it goes away, right? I want it to be kind of relaxed. So what I'm gonna do is this back foot here is gonna act as an anchor. We're gonna do a trick. That old trick you used to do back in the day where we like show our buddies, look how big my biceps are, and you do this and you push your hand like that to push your biceps up. We're gonna do the same thing, and our leg's gonna do it, right? We're gonna slightly bend this back leg, a slight bend like this. Not too much, we want to be on like this, but we don't want to be straight. We don't want this big gap here. We want to have a tiny little of a bend here. Put this foot inside like this, right? Now here's the trick. I'm gonna show you guys something. Watch, look at my hamstring, how much it drops. See how my hamstring just drops right there? From the side, this is what I look like, right? Slightly bend here. I'm taking this foot here, and now I'm literally wrapping it over top. And this leg here is acting as a push to push my hamstring to make it look bigger on the side. So you can see the difference. See my hamstring here? It's just hanging down, right? And then from here, again, how he's doing it really well, engaging his core, bringing it in. And then what he's doing, when I don't like what he's doing is, and what most people do is, they come in and then they kind of close things off. They get small. We already got our feet where they need to be. From here, we're gonna be nice and upright. From here, this back arm here is gonna scoop the bicep. We're gonna scoop the chest, with our bicep. Our chest is being pushed from our arm to make it look bigger from the back. So from here, I'm gonna scoop that arm, scoop that bicep under the chest, hand over top from here. I'm gonna do a low pulley row, pull the shoulder back, right? And then from here, right, I wanna create this, use this as an anchor to pull my chest up, right? Now that the chest is up, I wanna open up a little bit here because I wanna be wide from the shoulders down. We wanna create that V taper or X frame from every pose that you're in, whether you're doing a side chest or side tricep, lat spread, frontal bicep. We want to make sure that the shoulders are opened up, right? So we want to be here. What looks bigger, this or this? I look considerably smaller when I'm like this, even if I'm like, right? What looks bigger, this or this? This looks bigger. So what I want to see Sam do more is get himself up, right? Get his chest up. Don't close his chest off. Chest nice and tall from here and open up a little bit more. And we can even pop the shoulder a bit to create that illusion from our delt, and we're that much bigger from here, right? And then we're not, hiding all this here. We don't want to be up like this. I don't want to be too far down like this either. Just a little bit above the belly button and up. Same thing with his tricep. I think it looks really good, but we can do better of. All he has to do is, same thing, he's doing a really good job of getting himself here, is to open this chest up a little more, right? Not be here, again, what looks bigger, this or this? We create more of that V taper, right? That X frame when we are opening up. And then we can sit there and look bigger this way. Now, his back lat spread, he does similar with his lat spread, and that's he makes himself look a little bit smaller. Now, his lats are big. Some of you guys are like, are you out of your mind? Look, take it for someone who's experienced when it comes to this and watching physiques all the time. When you're next to someone else on stage who does what I'm telling you to do, it dwarfs the other physique, right? Because everyone looks really good on their own. Everyone looks great on their own until they're next to somebody else who has a comparable physique. And then that's when those games, illusion game is extremely important. When it comes to his back double bicep, I don't know how his legs are. I haven't seen him actually do his back double bicep before in terms of his legs. But when it comes down to it, guys, what we want to do is whatever leg you're comfortable putting forward is a slight step in the same angle as your front relaxed pose with your legs. So facing the back, if I'm facing the back, this is what I look like. I'm squeezing my glutes and I'm putting this foot forward slightly and bedding into it slightly, right? This is my base, and then my anchor is my other foot. This other foot's gonna go back, underneath, same type. My angle of my feet are pointing the exact same way that I was when I was this way. All I'm doing is moving it back like this. Now, when I move it back, how far back should I go? You wanna go back far enough that your legs are still even. I'll show you some mistakes people make. One is they'll go like this, and they're too close like this. This is a very common mistake people make. Or we have the overstep here, and then our hips are off. Or we have too narrow, and we're just back like this. What we wanna do is plant this front foot here with our glutes already engaged. Get over top that foot. So you wanna make sure your heel and your toes are actually digging into the ground. Push this foot back slightly so it's in the same, so you have the same like width from the standpoint. It's gonna change for everybody, but the important thing is that when I'm here, I can do this and keep balanced. If I can't do this with my pose, I'm not balanced. Now, big mistakes people make in this pose is this. All the time I see guys and I'm like, why is someone not telling them to get on their calf? The first thing the judges are gonna see is the back of your heel or your foot and on the way up. So if you don't have calves or you do have calves, you wanna put it in a good position to show you have nice calves or to at least show that you might have calves by being completely almost like plantar flex on those toes. You can see my calves, right? From here to here, we're gonna open up our hips, squeeze our glutes. From here, right, pulling in, which is good for what he does. Now, when he goes in his pose, a lot of guys make mistakes and they do this. And then they open up. I teach my guys to get from here, right? If I'm pulling in here, great. Then we're opening up. We wanna open up that back right away. And then get into the pose. We don't want to make it small. I'm not a big fan of this and this. I'm just not. It doesn't really matter. Judges do not care how you transition. They just want you in your pose. I look at it like this. If I'm gonna get into a pose and transition, I wanna transition in a way where I'm showing more of what I have, not closing it off. So for me, I'd rather have myself be here, opening up, and then already be wide, getting into the pose, than doing this kind of stuff. Now what Sam does, what I like is he's up, we're here, right? But there's a difference, right? You see my lats, guys? This is good. This is better. What I just do, I just push down my elbows. I push my arm a little bit to bring out this part of my lat, right? I want that to come out more. So from here, I'm in my pose from here, and I'm just squeezing down it more and externally rotating. If I externally rotate, it brings out my teres major, which helps with external rotation, is gonna make that nice smiley face, I call it, come out more. So we wanna be here and then externally rotating at the elbows and then pushing in, and you can see how much my lats come out even more. What am I doing from the side? I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this, right? I'm not closing my arms up like this. I'll keep everything nice and open and wide, and pulling here and externally rotating, keep my chest up and my back and my shoulders down. And that's gonna bring out your lats even more in that position. So you're here, and we can see this, right? See the difference between this and this, this and this. We want this, more detail. Now his back lat spread, same thing he's doing, the front. He does this, and then he gets like this. I'm exaggerating, he looks a lot better than that. But for those who are trying to copy him or mimic, what we wanna do is get here, it's a low pulley row, right? If I push the elbows down, it brings out my lats more from the back. We don't wanna pull up here, we wanna pull down, right? A low pulley row, pin those hands back here, roll the fist so it's flush, and then bring that chest up. And then everything starts to come out more, right? You can see from the side, my arms aren't doing this and getting smaller. We want them facing the side of the room, and that's gonna bring out my lats even more. Open up, and then here, right? We want everything to start popping. Your feet are the same as your front double bicep. I mean, the feet are the same as your Back double bicep, same thing. Your feet can be the same way, whether you're this way or this way, whatever's comfortable for you. I always recommend doing both. Now again, from here, opening up, getting underneath, driving the hands down if you want to, pinning the fists again from the side. All I'm doing is rolling the fist like this, right? Just doing this, guys, is gonna open my back up. I'm not doing anything but just rolling my fists, right? One of the biggest things that I coach for posing is getting people to understand this. You're not flexing into poses. And that's the biggest mistake people make. What do I mean by that? You see it all the time with amateurs and some pros. They'll be here, then you'll see them, and they're just, they're flexing. They're just really flexing before their pose. We want to get in position and then flex around it. So it can, as easy as this, right? I'm now flexing. If I'm doing a side chest, right? My legs are in, right? I'm fluently moving into each pose. I'm not here and then pulling in, right? We want to get into it gracefully and then flex around it, right? We don't want to be here and then just like, and then like opening up and doing this. I need to be here and get into my pose, right? Here. Open up, right? I don't want to be so rigid when I get into poses because you're just going to waste a lot of energy. You can hear how I'm breathing right now. Most of the time when I pose people posing, they can't do this. They're gassed. They're gassed just getting into one pose. So when I watch Sam and what he's done on his own and be able to accumulate all the knowledge that he has, he's a sponge. He's a student of, he's a bodybuilding student. One of those pure guys that you don't really see that much of. He is a bodybuilder. I believe he is a pure bodybuilder. Again, guys, you guys know my stance when it comes to steroids. Know the risks. You know, be smart, be safe as much as you can. Get your blood work done, you know, quarterly. I did. Make sure that you're taking care of your health as much as you possibly can because the sport's unforgiving. Regardless, Sam Sulek is going to do a really good job. I think that depending on who shows up to that show, he has a lot of potential to win. He might be a pro in the next couple months. We might see at the end of March that Sam Sulek is a new pro and he'll have to go through the same thing that all of us did when we became pro. We became pros. We're at the top here, then we got to go back to the bottom and work our way back up. And depending on how he treats his off season and obviously when it comes to gear use, that's gonna be the deciding factor of how fast he'll put on the weight that he needs, the muscle that he needs. But until then, he just needs to handle this show. I think he's going to do great at this show. He's got the conditioning, he's got the mindset, he's got the shape, he's got the size, obviously. And hopefully he can get some more coaching from some other guys that are out there. Flex Loose is out there. Joey Belt is a great posing coach. He's out that way. So, you know, again, when it comes to posing, guys, it's about creating an illusion. It's about hiding your weaknesses and showing your strengths. I'm 205, I was 205, 8 pounds the other day. I have a not completely different shape, but my shape is nowhere near as it was before, but I can create an illusion still as if I did have this, you know, overwhelming physique that I had before by just creating the illusion of, you know, controlling our core, make sure we can see our shoulders in all poses when we're here or here. You can see how I can make things look that much more aesthetic by posing. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I will do more of a breakdown for posing as we go. I think it's something that's important. I got a lot of people that are competing this year. The NPC has opened up about at least 30 natural shows. So I have a ton of new competitors who are competing naturally, ranging from the ages of 22 to 55. So if you're at the beginning of your fitness journey and you want to compete and you want to do it gear-free, or if you want to do it enhanced, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do my best to help you get to your goals and do it in the healthiest way mentally and the healthiest way physically. Anyway, so for more information about that, guys, hit the link in the description below, johnshoefitness.com. Fill out that application and get on a 50-minute video call with myself. We'll go over your goals and see what we can achieve together. Hit my site, johnshoef.com, for one-time training plans, training splits, ebooks, video consult calls, the works, johnshoef.com. And guys, using my code Johnny, 10 for 10% on BlueStarNutraceuticals.com. Till next time, guys, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. Meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.